What's going on, guys? This is Mastermind here, and welcome back to another video. It's literally 2 a.m. right now, so I might have to low-key be quiet, but regardless, it's not like I'm gonna have the Minecraft or whatever video game I'm playing volume all the way up, so here we are. This one might be a little bit more of a personal video, but I also want to phrase it in a way that's much more relatable. Why don't people do the things that they want to do? That's the question we are going to answer, or at least I'm going to answer. This question gets very deep because I think it's something that everybody feels, that they essentially want to be free from themselves. Kind of like that, you know? Some people, well, I say everybody feels like it, but now I'm going to take back that answer. Some people feel like that probably way more than others, but I would say overall, the majority of people, right, has felt that way at least once in their life. Now let's go over some reasons. Laziness. We all know this was going to come, and I think a lot of people are aware about this too. And I don't know if it's just me, but is everyone nowadays just somewhat lazy? Everyone that I meet, like all my friends, well, not all my friends, but the majority of my friends, they say that they feel tired, like very often, right? They're tired of something. And maybe they're just tired in general. And it could be physical exhaustion. It could be even mental exhaustion. But I would say the majority of those friends of mine has more of the mental and I almost want to say spiritual exhaustion, right? Maybe it's just the way of the world and how we're born, because, I mean, I'm 19 years old. The fact that the world is as it is right now, while I'm at such a young age, like, to be very honest with y'all guys, like, I'm not looking forward to adulthood. I'm really not. I don't think things are gonna go well very, very soon. As much as I want it to be delayed, you know, maybe to my 30s, but it's probably not gonna hit that point. By the time I'm 30, that's like, well, that's essentially another decade. 2036? Sheesh. 2030, it's like 2035 or 2036. Yeah, I think I'm cooked. Here, chat. Procrastination is a huge thing. Like, going back to what I was saying earlier about everyone feeling lazy, procrastination is a huge thing. Everyone should, if we're getting into this topic, I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys know what procrastination is. If you don't know what procrastination is, you're essentially delaying what you're supposed to do. If you ever said, well, you know, I should do this today, but I'm just going to do it tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow comes and you're like, yeah, I don't really feel like it, I'm just going to do it tomorrow. And then you're in a cycle at that point. That is procrastination, right? Or just consistent procrastination. Procrastination is a huge deal in so many people. I would say my generation feels it a lot. I would say almost all my friends procrastinate. Like, really. I procrastinate, all my friends procrastinate. I feel like I procrastinate a lot more than I should. Because there are certain things that need to get done. And I mean like need to get done, whether it's, learning soft skills for a job, whether it's, because for me, it's mostly the job market right now. I'm trying to get certificates. I'm trying to expand my knowledge so that I can look better on my resume and get better jobs, right? Because ultimately, I want to start up my career path, right? I want to start up my career path. And I've just been straight delaying it. And there's a few other things that I've been doing too, and we'll get into that soon enough in this video. But I think if anyone has been a true lazy person, like a really, really, really lazy person, I would honestly, this kind of correlates to the next thing I was going to say, mental health problems. The reason why I want to say that is because when someone is that lazy, they're typically unmotivated, right? Or at least how'd I say this? They want things served on basically a silver platter, right? And that's just not how life works. One, and from my personal experience, it's kind of like that want of nothing. I think very few will probably get it, but you essentially just don't want anything in life. You in how I would describe it, you just want to sleep all day, right? Sleeping for 15, 16 hours. Like you don't want anything. You don't even want to get out of bed because God forbid, right? Now you have to deal with the real world. And realistically speaking, the real world doesn't wait for anybody, and you are bound to the real world. You will hit it at some point, no matter how much you try to dodge it. But it's like, I don't know, like, maybe this is my own realization to myself. I was talking to myself about this before I even recorded this video, before I even started recording. It's like you have that want. You know why you need to do this. You know why. But then you might ask yourself, what's the point of it? Why should I really go for this? Why is this an aim? Is this really worth it? Is this something I even want to do? Right? Because, and another side thing, what I would say is something that we as a society have done wrong, especially to people my age now. You have to decide what career path you want to get into for the next possibly 40 years of your life. I want to say possibly because, the average person, right? Maybe you retire at 60 or 70. You finish college at like 20 something, right? Could you imagine? Could you truly imagine? I have to decide now of what I want to do. And I switched my major a few times. I had to rethink about what I want to do. Because, that's a hard decision. I don't even know what I want 5 years from now. I don't even know if I'm going to be alive 5 years from now. And here we are talking about 40, maybe even 50. Like, that's absurd. I feel like we've done the system, or just, I will just call it the way of the world, has really done us wrong, us teenagers wrong. Because you especially have to think about that through high school, right? That's how you really give yourself time. But even then, like me at 14 years old thinking about what I want for my future, my 14-year-old self doesn't know the realistic answer to that question. I don't even know what I truly want in life. When life really hits, right? When life really hits, you don't that I would say you get the hint of what you want. Not at 14 years old where you're not even an adult by any means. Maybe it's just me. Going to the next thing, as I said, mental health problems, right? Now going forward. I know someone who has ADHD, and I know people, actually, well, one of my old best friends had ADHD, and she couldn't focus for the life of her on something. So there's this. Now I'm looking through all my notes. This all correlates with each other. But you'll see why. Just reach the end of the video. People with ADHD, they have a hard time focusing on one thing because something all of a sudden catches their eye and they're like, oh my gosh, maybe it could be like, you're trying to focus on something, on such a beautiful view, and then a butterfly comes by and they're like, oh my gosh, a brand new butterfly, like, I don't think I have ADHD. I have so many people saying they have ADHD, but now I feel like people are just LARPing mental health problems. Right? And I think people are just straight up, how do I say this? I think people are connecting their short-term attention spans to straight up having ADHD, which is kind of wrong, right? A person with ADHD has a lot of energy, right? And their thoughts are wild and they can be impulsive at times, and sometimes it can be a literal hell for them. Sometimes it's amazing because they can, reorganize their room at 2 a.m. But even then, that's not really just ADHD firing. That's just, I don't know, productivity, boredom, maybe. Burst of energy. You know what I'm saying? That's not real ADHD. Real ADHD could be an actual living hell for the people who suffer from it. But that's one thing why people can't do what they need to do. They have too much energy to really focus, right? You may have actual ADHD. You may have depression, which is essentially what I was getting into before, just a moment ago. People who are depressed, we essentially all know what depression may even look like. Especially if you have a friend that's depressed, especially if you are depressed, right? You really don't want to do anything. You don't find purpose in anything. You don't find meaning in anything. You really don't even care about anything. You live. That's really all you do. You live and ponder why to live and ponder what it means to live. You're like the great questioner, but the greatest questioner in the universe, and yet all your answers are so biased that it's just inherently wrong. Catch my drift? Like, you cannot say something is factual if it's an opinion. Because that's inherently wrong. An opinion cannot be factual. A subjective statement cannot be considered a objective truth. Right? It's one thing that a lot of people don't like religion for. A subjective statement cannot be objective truth. Just because you think, the Buddha exists, just because you think Jesus Christ exists, just because you think any religious figure exists, that doesn't mean that they truly exist or everyone should believe it. It's faith. It's faith for a reason. And I'm trying to say this from like an outside lens, not trying to pick a side here. Right? But that's the whole point of faith. You're believing in something that may or may not be true, right? It's like believing in a myth. It's like believing in a superstition, right? That's essentially faith. Or at least in my opinion, that's essentially faith. And autism. I think well, actually, I don't think I really need to get into that, do I? Autism is kind of obvious. Now, next thing. Addictions. Now, the number one thing that I have a problem, I think the majority of my friends have a problem, I think a lot of people who are seeing this video have a problem, is a phone addiction. Let's be so honest. Most of us is addicted to social media. Whether it's YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, all this kind of stuff, we are essentially addicted to our phones. I don't know about y'all, but last week, my daily average on being on my phone was 9 hours. Could you imagine going through life like that? I remember there was this one video of this guy that shows up all the months in the average human life. And he, puts out, this how much time you eat, how much time you use the bathroom, yada yada yada. And then there was one time where he shows like all the free time that you have. And the person who averages 8 hours on their phone, right, wastes like almost all the free time that they have, and they only have like really like 5 months worth of free time. I remember seeing that video and I was like, damn, shocker. Scrolls to the next reel. Like, bro. But that is serious. That's a serious thing. I think people don't get what they need to do done because, like me personally, I study for like a few minutes, right? I was actually doing it earlier. Well, I would say today, but yesterday, technically. Where I had to go through this like 30-minute video, and I was taking my notes and all that stuff. It obviously take a lot more than 30 minutes, but after a few, maybe like, I don't know, 7 minutes maybe of the video and taking notes, I would go on my phone and I would just, scroll through Instagram, go through YouTube, right? I'll go through all this, stuff here. And that would end up being like, straight up, not even kidding, like probably like 30 minutes. More than the time that I studied. But like twice the amount. And that's a problem. That's an issue. Because it took me a long time just to get through that one video. It took me hours. Literally hours. That is a problem. That is a problem and a half. But at the same time, how do we fix this problem? Everyone has a phone, right? It's not like with, the boomers or anything like that, where a phone is seen as like a luxury or anything. No, to my generation, it is a necessity. With Gen Alpha, you're born with it. I grew up as an iPad kid, and luckily I'm not as bad as, some other people. Because here I am thinking about, conversations like this. But for my little sister's a Gen Alpha. She's pretty much born with her tablet. To keep her busy, to keep her entertained, to stop her from crying every single day. But now here she is, just glued to her tablet. That's the consequence. And she's probably going to stay like that for a very long time. And that's going to affect her and her brain for a very long time. She's already scrolling through, YouTube and all that stuff. Watching Coco Melon. Literally brain rot. Here she is at 8 years old. She's literally 8 years old. Here she is, 8 years old, watching brain rot, frying her brain. I can't even imagine how she may do in middle school. She's not doing that good in some math, right? Like, I can't imagine how she is going to do in middle school, maybe even high school. What's high school going to look like? Her brain is going to be so cooked that at this point, she needs a lobotomy, Like, that's bad. That is really, really, really bad. But I digress, I guess. Because, the parents just want their own thing. And addictions is more than just, phone addiction. It could be so many other things. I would say there's an overall dopamine addiction, right? You can look through articles like this online. This has been proven. I can't think of one just out of the top of my head. But I remember reading articles, or at least one article, for my composition class, of the dopamine you get from scrolling. This is some fast-paced content that gives you pleasure. Because the dopamine gives you pleasure. That's pretty much what I would just call your pleasure chemical, right? Compared to serotonin, which is essentially real joy. But yeah, you're constantly, pumping yourself dopamine. This is a straight dopamine addiction. And the more dopamine you get, right, the more your brain gets used to it, and then the more your brain wants it, because it makes you happy. And so you do more of the thing that you're addicted to, and that cycle repeats until your brain is dead. Literally, until your brain is dead. It is a drug. It is no different than illegal drugs. Yes, illegal drugs could probably kill you a lot more quickly. Or actually, I shouldn't say probably. They will kill you a lot more quickly. But they essentially do the same thing. Which then leads to overstimulation. Because we're so addicted to scrolling and all these, flashing lights, the audios, the fast-paced content, everything like that, we suddenly become overstimulated, which actually is, I think, the leading cause for the exhaustion I was talking about earlier today, where everyone seems tired, is from overstimulation. And overstimulation leads to brain rot. And that's not a joke. That's where brain rot even comes from. Your brain, if I remember the definition of brain rot, it's essentially extreme brain fog that comes from overstimulation. Your attention span shortens, your dopamine levels get absolutely fried. Obviously, your memory also gets fried. Your ability to focus gets fried. Your ability to control your impulses gets fried. That's why you see a lot of Gen Alpha kids crash out on their parents or anywhere really, and they're just screaming and crying for no reason, right? Well, because their iPad was taken away, or the battery died. God forbid the battery dies, right? I personally work at a grocery store, and the amount of times I feel like I hear a crying kid every day, right? If you've ever been to a grocery store, which I'm pretty sure is pretty much everybody, right? Everybody has been to a grocery store. If you somehow haven't, go ahead. Go ahead. You're always going to hear, nine times out of 10, you're going to hear a crying baby. And nowadays, I feel like a crying baby will cry about anything. And I mean anything. And they cry so loud. So loud. Oh my gosh. I can't tell. They are literally, I can hear them at the very back of the store. That's how loud they are. They're so loud I can't even hear the customer that I'm trying to help. Like, oh my gosh. It's so ridiculous. I've seen kids crash out on their parents because, their parents wouldn't give them a Kit Kat. Or their parents aren't going to give them the Nido that they want. Or even give them a Nido, period. You know? I've seen kids crash out, obviously, from their phone or tablet being taken away or being turned off. I've seen kids crash out because all of a sudden now they had to get down from the cart that they were sitting on. Or sitting in, I should say. But, like, stupid things. And we can be like, they're just kids. When I was a kid, I don't think I ever crashed out from having to be lifted from the cart. You know, like, I don't remember crashing out on this kind of thing. Yeah, maybe I cried when my parent didn't give me what I wanted, but that wouldn't last the entire grocery trip, right? Because we're not just talking like, 5 minutes. We're talking like a good 30, maybe an hour. I gotta deal with an hour, possibly, of a kid crying. I don't even think I have the energy to do that. I don't even think I have the energy now to do that. You know? These kids, I'm telling you, these kids, man. Oh my gosh. But Instagram and YouTube has definitely, I feel like everybody has an Instagram now. And I feel like most of the addiction that comes to, most of the overstimulation that leads to brain rot, most of the phone addiction that everybody has, it's essentially mostly Instagram, in my opinion. Instagram Reels started it all, I would say, because they've been there. One thing I've noticed personally is that I can't really focus only at my house. And I don't know if it's just me, or if it's in a place where I can more or less chillax a little. Because there's study halls at my college, I also go to college, right? I'm as someone who's Gen Z, I essentially have to go to college. um, and those study halls, right? There were times where I would lock in for like a good hour, and then I give myself a break. And then there are also times where I'll lock in for like only like 10 minutes and give myself a break for 30. You know what I'm saying? But at my house, in my room, I feel like I am less focused than ever. And I think there is a reason for that, but I'm actually not too sure. But this is overall, this whole brain rot thing is another reason why people can't focus on doing what they need to do, because their attention span is fried from this fast-paced, short-form content, short-quality content too, right? Because most of the Instagram shorts, most of the YouTube or Instagram Reels, most of the YouTube shorts, like, you don't need to try. It's a 1 minute video. Max. 1 minute max video. Like, what? You just can't focus. And your memory is cooked too. And that translates especially in college. Oh my gosh. By the way, for anybody who's in high school, right? For anybody who's in high school, because in middle school you don't have to worry. If you're in high school, you better learn how to study. You better learn how to study. I want to tell you this now, in college, like, when your professors say you can't really cheat in college, they mean that. They mean that. In all of these classes, you are going to need to know how to study. And I mean study good. High school was easy. I remember getting a 3.8 GPA. I'm pretty sure that was considered principal's honor roll at my school. And now I have borderline 2.0. That is a huge difference. Huge difference. Oh my gosh. Right? Like, how do I say this? How do I say this? In high school, 1 year is essentially, you deal with the same classes for like 10 months. In college, it's 15 weeks. That's about 3 months. About. Right? No, 4 months. That's 4 months. Nearly 4 months. Sorry. Math. 4 weeks in a month. Nearly 4 months. That little time, first off, that's a 6 months difference, right? Like, technically. If we're going by the numbers I just said, that's a 6 months difference. That difference is huge. So huge. You don't understand how big of a difference that is. I'll give you a little example. Or at least for me. For physics in high school, I passed the first time around. I didn't have that great of a score. If I remember, I had like a C. For physics in college, I had to drop out the semester I was originally taking it, because I know I was going to fail. And I had to take the summer class, in which I almost failed. I got a C. Which, by the way, summer class is even worse, because you get half the time. You get 7 weeks. 7 weeks. Nearly 2 months. Diablo. You know what I mean? Like, damn. Good luck. Good luck. You're going to need to know how to study real good. And let me tell you something. I must have aced the final because I did not study good. I was so confident I was going to fail that thing. I was panicking, and then I found out I got a C. Yes, like so relieved. One thing that's the worst about all this, I know I'm backtracking a lot, and I'm going back and forth, but one thing that I want to give off, that I think is the worst about all this, is the awareness. I feel like teachers in school make you aware about it. I feel like you're bound to personally be aware about it, right? Whether it's from memes or by actual serious conversations with yourself, or in my case, to myself and an audience, about these kind of things. Because, like, I know why and the what. I know why I'm not doing what I should be doing. I know what is wrong with me. I know what I should tackle. I know essentially how to get better. And yet for some reason I just can't seem to get better. I don't know if it's a thing of like I don't want to change. I don't know if it's a thing of like maybe the addiction is that strong, which I feel like it's more so the latter than the former, to be perfectly honest. But I can't just disregard the former, therefore. Maybe I just want to live, maybe I want more out of my life right now. Maybe I want something else, because that's what I think humans overall want when they get used to essentially the same thing again, because especially when you're in college, your life is more, depending on your major, right? Because honestly, if you're all right, this might be a little controversial. If you're going to college as like a business major, you just drop out. Just drop out. At that point, just drop out. Just start a business. That's how you're going to learn. Start a business, fail, make another business, fail, make another business, may succeed. Learn from your failures. I would say college is really only worth it if you're getting into something like STEM. Any STEM major. But when you're in the college era of your life is essentially just going to be work in college. And when it hits summer, it's going to be entirely college, because if you're going for a 4-year anniversary first, you have to pay your student loan, because there's no way you have $27,000 just casually lying around, am I right? Unless you have some crazy scholarship, like one of my friends. And then you are lucky. But for me, I'm paying out of pocket. I'm going to community college right now. I'm paying out of pocket. I got to save up. Spending nearly $4,000 at a job that gives me minimum wage. I got to save up. Working full-time, being a student full-time. And it sucks, but you got to do what you got to do. But then you get tired of that life. You get really tired of that life. And I know so many people out there feel the exact same way. I just hate this is the way of the world, to be perfectly honest. Because that's what this is. It's the way of the world. And there's really nothing I could do about it. And I wish there is, but unless I'm going right out into the wilderness, being like, alright guys, I'm going off the grid. I'll see y'all never. Yeah, I don't think this is happening anytime soon. But alright. What's the solution to all this? Fight your urges. Honestly, I would say what has been memed by like grandparents and regular parents now is more or less right. Let's be perfectly honest here. It is the damn phone. It is the damn phone. It's always the damn phone. It is the damn phone. I think the phone has become a huge problem now. Because everyone's so addicted to their phone and their tablet. There are kids. You know, when I got my first phone, I'm pretty sure I was just starting off middle school. Right? And everybody else got their first phone when they were somewhere in elementary school. And I mean, not like, oh, you were given your mom's phone. No, I mean, their parent bought them their own phone. Elementary school. I know a kid who got their first phone in 2nd grade. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, you got a phone. I'm looking back at it now, I'm like, that is wild. 2nd grade? What's that? That's like my sister's age, right? 8 years old? That's like my sister's age. That's crazy. I can't even imagine my sister having a phone. No, keep her with your tablet. But it really is the damn phone, let's be honest. We have to detox ourselves from our phones. Probably detox ourselves from screens, but that in itself is just like mission impossible, you know? Everything is now on a screen. And now with how, you know, the way of the world is, now you need your phone with everything. It's a crazy world out here. Too much of a crazy world. Well, alright. I think I've yapped enough. I haven't done a long video in a long time. Yeah, we're about to hit 43 minutes. Yay! Woo! If you like this video, then please leave a like down below, man. And if you want to see more content of this, and which, by the way, I will, then please hit that subscribe button. And please put on the notifications button or the bell so that you can get notified of any time I do release another video. Leave a comment down below to see what kind of thing you want me to talk about next. It could be a philosophical question. It could maybe be a psychological question. I mean, I have my own questions to answer, like the one today, like the one just now. But if you want to leave any suggestions, then leave it down in the comments below. I read these comments, even though I barely get any right now. But I will read them. And anyways, well, I would say have a good night since it's 2:44 a.m. for me. But regardless, have a good day now, or have a good night, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.